Hi, and welcome to Transparent with Tina, a holistic approach for mental, physical, and spiritual well being so you can become the best version of yourself. Hi, and welcome to Transparent with Tina. I am Tina Marks, your host. So, what if the thing keeping you stuck isn't a lack of growth, but a lack of emotional regulation? I'm joined by Casey Garrett, whose work cuts through the noise of quick fix healing and brings us back to what actually creates transformation, union, intuition, self awareness, and the courage to face what most people avoid. In this episode, we dive into intuitive healing, how microdosing can support real spiritual growth, and why emotional regulation isn't just part of the journey, it is the doorway. If you've been doing all the work but still feeling disconnected, this conversation is for you. Welcome, Casey. My mind's
Thank,
going to Kelsey. I don't even know a Kelsey.
thank you
Anyway,
so much. Yep, I answer to it all, so it's all good. I'm happy to be here.
yeah, we have a lot to cover because we're going to be talking about emotional regulation and then how that feeds into the microdosing, which I've been doing, which I'll share with you later. But why don't we talk about a little bit how you got, into this line of work? What was the moment in your life that forced you to become who you are today? And was there a breaking point where you realized the path that you were on was just not sustainable?
Wonderful question. Yeah, it's part, I think, destiny, part serendipity, and part like I'm the least likely person to be working with magic mushrooms. If you looked at my early life, as a kid, I lost my father quite young, unexpectedly at 7.
Oh,
And so I kind of channeled my grief into, kind of constructing my world with as much control as I could, right?
yes.
As one does. And so I went into sports. I was an athlete. I did really well in school. However, my grief wound up going into my physical body, which
Mm.
is how it happens, and especially how it happens for women. And I
They
started off
usually say it
having.
goes in your lungs. The grief goes in more in your lungs, right?
Yes, I would have bronchitis twice a year, every year, my
Mm-hmm.
entire childhood.
Hmm.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
did too. I did too. Yeah. And I
Mm-hmm.
lost my brother when I was 9. So I didn't even put that together until just now. But go ahead. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, I'm glad you could connect that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much we have to relearn as
Hmm.
humans as to how
Yes.
we heal. Yeah. So, yeah, when I was a kid, it started when I was right after my father's death. I started getting really severe headaches. And I remember
Hmm.
spending a lot of days in the nurse's office in elementary school. And then as a teenager, I started having grand mal seizures, the kind where you go unconscious, the big scary kind for those around
Wow.
you. And I was medicated as if I had epilepsy, even though I tested negative for all of the tests. They just didn't know where they were coming from. And so they treated them as much as they could to kind of control them without ever healing them.
Hmm.
I wanted to be a doctor growing up my whole childhood. I've always been drawn to health and healing and serving other people. And I was on a very traditional academic track. I was 19. I was in college studying pre med when I got a very strong intuitive voice, which I now know is my guide. And she said, it's time for you to move across the country to California now. And to my credit, I listened to it and I ended up
Wow.
transferring out to California, completing my college there. But more importantly, what happened, I very quickly ran into key people, my Reiki master. I went to Esalen and Big Sur, fell in love
Mm.
with body work, and it
Mhm.
just, the universe kind of took me in my healing path. And instead of going down a traditional academic medical path, I went down this very quote unquote alternative path.
Yes.
Years later, after I'd been grounded in body work, energy work, hypnotherapy, lots of different modalities, I had a private practice. I'd opened my own healing art studios. I ran across someone who introduced me to the concept of microdosing magic mushrooms. And I was like curious because I had heard about the mystical qualities of the medicines, but I was always really afraid to work with them because of my seizures
Hmm.
and my brain being so sensitive. However, the idea of microdosing, I was like, okay, I'm not going to go anywhere. It's not, I'm still going to retain control. And I didn't really have any expectations at all, other than, oh, maybe it'll increase my creativity or deepen my meditation. And after I started, immediately my seizures stopped. My headache stopped. I have never had a seizure since. I've probably had a couple hormone related headaches
Hmm.
in the past ever
Hmm.
since. And I've had just this remarkable healing. It just kind of brought together and integrated all the healing work I had ever done. Mushroom practice really brought that forth in a new, lasting way. So during the pandemic, when our studios were closed down, and I had to come up with a solution of what can I do that's in service to people's healing that we can do from home while we're all locked down, I put together my first microdosing group from home. We would come together on Zoom once a week, and people cultivated their own mushrooms at home with my cultivation partner. And that was that. So that was 2020. And fast forward today, we've had almost 2,000 people through our various programs. We have a global community, a podcast, and a professional training now to teach other people how to support people in microdosing practice.
What do you think it was about the microdosing that took away the seizures and everything else?
Nervous system healing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the deep loss of the traumatic loss of my father suddenly, and then compounded with some other things that happened in childhood, it just layered up in the physical body, landed
Mm-hmm.
in my nervous system. And so everybody, what I find working with people is nervous system dysregulation is really the root of
Of
so many
everything.
different things.
Yeah,
Yes,
I agree.
from
It
depression to anxiety to
that's
addiction.
your gateway to freedom because I was
Yes.
in fight or flight my whole life. And I just this year, I mean, I'm 63. So all that time I was in fight or flight, and you don't know it. I just know I was anxious. Any little thing would set me off. If anything didn't go according to plan, I just thought, oh, well, that's just me. That's normal. But I guess it was my normal, but not for a regulated nervous system. It's not normal. And I think a
Oh,
lot of people are living this way. And it's,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. I always encourage people to kind of give yourself compassion because the human body is remarkable in how it
Mm,
compensates to protect us. You know,
yes.
my seizures were in their own way supportive of me because it was almost like when I would have a big seizure, when I came to, yes, it was very scary, but I felt so clear. I felt so clear. I felt so calm. And it was just, it was the way of expelling all that anxiety, all that
After the seizure, you
trauma.
felt calm. Yes.
Yes. And
Yes.
so the body's like doing it, making its best effort. But then when we give it what it needs to heal at the root cause, we clear so many of these symptoms and these conditions that we're told we just have to live with. It's almost miraculous when we're treating the root and not the surface level symptom.
Exactly. And I just had this conversation last week. It's like we everybody looks at and they look at the symptom, they don't look at the root. Why does this keep coming back? Why do I have to live with this the rest of it? It's if you really think about it, your body is just trying to always help you and protect you. I've been really getting into the internal family systems. You know what that is? So that explains a lot of it. You've got protectors, and it all boils down to your body's never trying to go against you. It's not trying to hurt you. It's not trying to punish you. It's trying to guide you. How else does it guide you except make you feel a certain way? Because if you're feeling good, you're not going to make any changes, right? You only make the changes when you're not feeling good. So yeah. So I'm going to get more into the microdosing in a little while, but thank you for telling us your story. Um, so you talk about emotional regulation as the real doorway to awakening. Tell me what you mean by that.
This is for me what I wish I had known 40 years ago. Right? Um, I had remarkable physical healing first and foremost. That was what's most notable. Then my mental health. I just noticed as I healed, my mental clarity, my sharpness improved. But then I had this incredible spiritual opening take hold and really take place. And before I had never really known that getting to that level, getting to a soul level healing
Mm-hmm.
was actually the root of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And we're just so unfamiliar with that in our modern Western models. You know, we don't really go to the doctor and they don't talk about how's your soul. They take your temperature and your vitals and that's that. But really underlying it all is the soul comes first, is what I have really noticed. And so in my practice today, I put that front and center. And if you do the energetic work, the frequency work, the soul work first, the body and the mind follow
Follow
that.
that. Okay, so let's get in a little bit of some of your practices. You said energy, the frequency. Tell us what that looks like.
Yeah, well, today, most of my practice people I'm working with are centered around earth medicine practice. So, a lot of it is working with earth medicines. I tend to work most with psilocybin mushrooms, although there's a number of natural medicines that you can microdose. I work with psilocybin mushrooms primarily, and psilocybin mushrooms are beautiful for getting to the root cause, whether it's your nervous system, whether it's your soul work, whether it's those deeper layers. I often work with people who they're like, I've done everything. I've done so much therapy. I've done every program.
Mm-hmm.
I've done every
Mm-hmm.
pill and modality, and I just can't get farther. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not sure what else to do. When you work with mushrooms, they can access places in you that nothing that I've come across can do. And so pairing that with therapy, pairing that with coaching, pairing that with breath work, pairing that with yoga, pairing it
Mm-hmm.
with body work, every person is going to be different, but orienting that work with a deeper level of access that it gives you to heal is primarily the work I do today.
So would you say that the mushrooms like open you up enough to, right? It opens you up enough to access maybe different parts of you, see things in a different perspective, right? Because that's really all it does. Because you're not getting high off of a microdosing, and I've been doing it. I don't think I'm doing it correctly, but I never feel like I'm doing something correctly. I don't think I'm meditating correctly. I don't think I'm doing it, but that's not here nor there. But I have been doing it on and off, and the ones I've been getting, do you know Austin West by any chance?
I don't
Oh,
know.
okay. So I had him on, and he sells the microdosing, and he said, the psilocybin there's other herbs in there like sage or whatever it is, and those are the activators for the psilocybin, right? But there's also it's very intentional how you do it. You don't from what I understand. It's not just like taking a capsule and getting on with your day, right? So explain a little bit more about using it intentionally to get the most out of it.
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to. So I really come to hold the work and the practice almost like a sacrament. It's a deeply
Mm,
spiritual practice for me. And so a lot of the people I work with love to like that, even the idea of holding a practice in that way is new and novel in a really special way. And so creating your own ritual, and again, everybody's ritual is different depending on their background, their spiritual lens, their religious lens that they bring to the practice. But that can be a really, really beautiful way to reconnect people to their soul, their spirit, sometimes with the natural world. Lots of people I work with love to take their microdose and then go walk their dog out on the trails and just be connected to the elements, be connected to
mm,
nature, be connected to your animal, and hold it differently than just another pharmaceutical pill.
mm-hmm.
Yes, it can have tremendous mental health benefits. Yes, it has incredible physical health benefits too, but it's beautiful and I think holds the work as special when we kind of create a little ritual that's just ours around practice.
Hey guys,
Right.
okay, let's talk skincare. For most of my adult life, I had a hate relationship with my skin. I struggled with adult acne, discoloration, large pores, psoriasis, and fine lines. I swear, all that changed when I started using herbal face food. I mean, this stuff is powerful. We're talking the world's most potent antioxidant and anti blemish formula. And the serum is the number one anti aging serum in the world, made entirely from 100% botanical plants. No chemicals, no synthetics, 100% all natural. Whether you're dealing with fine lines, dark spots, sun damage, rosacea, psoriasis, melasma, or just want that all day healthy glow, Herbal Face Food has your skin covered. Literally. I've been using all their products for 3 years now, and let me tell you, it's like green juice for your face, only stronger. Remember, whatever you put on your skin goes in your body. So, this is a really important point here, seeing that it's 100% all natural. Give it a try. It's got a 100% money back guarantee, no questions asked. You can check them out at herbalfacefood.com. Use promo code TINA20 for 20% off your entire order. That's herbalfacefood.com because your skin deserves the
Around
best.
practice.
Right. That, okay, that makes sense to really just, I believe, the key to any kind of success is like consistency, intention, and action. So, and I think this just really elevates us to become more conscious on a daily basis too. Because what are we doing? We're usually doing several things at one time. Like, I'm understanding when you eat, you should just eat. You shouldn't be watching TV or having a conversation. And, this brings you, I think, closer and more in alignment with yourself. I'm going to go back to when you said that intuition is what brought you out. Okay. And this was actually one of my questions. And I've asked several people this, and haven't really gotten the answer that I'm maybe not I'm looking for. But how do you know when intuition is intuition or it's like based on fear? For example, I mean, you got this download, which if my audience doesn't know what that means, I've used it all the time. But it's a thought, it's a feeling, it's an expression that comes through you. How do you know that that's like? How did you know that wasn't just a thought, or that's a crazy thought, or that's an intuition I should act upon? And a lot of times it's in fear, right? Oh, don't go do that. Is that my intuition, or is that myself going, no, that's not familiar territory, so I don't want to go there?
Absolutely. No, I love this question. For myself, the difference when I know it's my intuition and it's truth, I can feel it in my bones. Like
Mm,
it's deep. It's a deep feeling of like knowingness that's beyond the mind. I can like feel it in my our original brain in my gut. It's just
right,
truth.
right.
Also too when it's my intuition, it's a calm sensation. It doesn't have a lot of distorted energy
Mm,
attached to it. Like sometimes when you just have an idea,
yeah,
it'll have a charge to it. And sometimes it
right.
could be a positive charge. Like you'll have an idea and you have like excitement attached to it, or enthusiasm attached to it, or fear and anxiety attached to it. That's
Yes,
not usually a download. Like that is a thought and it's an idea to contemplate. But that's a good time to really. I utilize human design a lot in my work. And so depending on people's design, I'll say, using your design if you need a soundboard with someone. Sometimes you need to write it out. Sometimes you need to journal. Sometimes you need to speak it to a neutral party and soundboard an idea. Once you do that, you'll be able to differentiate, is it my intuition or is it just a creative idea that I'm having?
yes,
But I've come to know the more you align with your intuition and the more, and mushrooms are very good at this, is mushrooms bring you into your soul self alignment. You'll know, the more you practice with it, the stronger it gets. And your mind, you'll be able to differentiate it more easily. It's like just working out at the gym. It's like a muscle. The more you listen to your
yes,
intuition, the
yes.
more that muscle strengthens over time. And I've almost gotten to the point where I'll have a physical sensation when something is true. Like lots of times I'm on a podcast or I'm interviewing a client, they'll say certain things, and I will literally have a physical response run up
Response
my
to,
spine
mhm,
when truth is being spoken.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. That's a great answer, and I've heard that before. I think that's the distinguishing factor is when you're staying calm. You're not being triggered. Your heart's not racing or anything like that. What subtle changes did you notice at first? Was it mental clarity, emotional regulation, creativity? Like if somebody just starts this and they don't know what to expect, what are the first things that they can expect to feel?
Great question. So, across the board, and this was my personal experience too, usually within the first 2 days, people notice the cognitive benefits nearly immediately. They're like, I'm sharper, I'm clear,
Mhm.
my memory's a little better, I'm a little bit more articulate, focused, clear. Interestingly, in the first couple of weeks, a lot of people report they stop procrastinating, which is
They
really
stop
odd. They stop
procrastinating
procrastinating. It's really interesting. They're like, I just found myself like finally cleaning out my closet that I've been putting off for years, or like calling and making those maintenance appointments that I've been putting off. It's really interesting.
because their
Um,
nervous system is calm.
maybe,
Probably, right?
maybe,
Yeah.
yeah. It's just fascinating. Yeah, the mental our mental things we do that get in our own way, kind of
Hmm.
quiet down. Lots of people have really beautiful. I have so many beautiful stories of nature connection, that people connect with nature in a new way, and they're like, maybe
Hmm.
this has always been the way. I just didn't notice it before. But the first few days, people, your senses dial up a little bit. Your eyes, your sense of taste, your sense of just your aliveness in the world dials up just a bit to notice nature pop a little bit. And so that could be your pets, that can be animals out in the forest, that can be, I have countless stories of people, bird interactions with people, um, that can happen very, very quickly. And then
Hmm.
lately, particularly, I've noticed a lot of people are having really incredible spiritual openings quite quickly. Um,
Mm.
and I think it's just we're at that point in our human evolution, not a moment too soon, right? that
Yes,
that
exactly.
that spirit is kind of coming online. We're reconnecting with earth in a really powerful way, and really kind of coming back into our potential. And the
Hmm.
medicines kind of help reawakening some of these potentials in us. I've noticed that especially of late.
Yeah, yeah. So, when people do psilocybin as a journey, um, a lot of things can come up. It's completely different with microdosing, but did it bring anything uncomfortable to the surface that you weren't expecting when you first started microdosing, or even after a while?
Yes, I had the experience, and a lot of my clients have had the experience of, with microdosing, it can bring forth some level of catharsis of what you have been holding in your body.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll be different for everybody has different things stuck in there, right? But the vast majority of people that I work with, a lot of times it's grief. And so people will just find themselves shedding tears readily, more readily, just a little bit more tender, more sentimental. And a lot of people describe it as, there's nothing going on that's sad in my present day life, but I know I have some old tears.
Right.
And lots of times they can look back and go, my father passed away 2 years ago. I really didn't ever fully grieve his work. I had so much going on. I threw myself back into work, but I never really fully grieved that. And when we down regulate and calm our nervous system down and kind of come into presence, that's when we can start to feel our body again, feel our emotions again. So a lot of people start to shed some bigger emotions come up for release once they start microdosing.
So my doctor
Okay.
says that we don't die from old age, we die from inflammation. And I couldn't agree more. When I found him a couple of years ago, I was not in great shape. I had a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, and he found out it was all related to my gut. Did you know that 90% of your dopamine and 90% of your serotonin are made in your gut? Okay. So I have been on all of his products ever since that day. But the ones that I want to talk to you about are the alkalizers. He's got one for coffee and he's got one for alcohol. What do? They make the beverage from acidic to alkaline, which is so important because if your body is too acidic, it is a breeding ground for disease. So you want to keep your body in an alkaline balance. So with the coffee, it comes either for black coffee or it comes flavored as a creamer. I love the flavored ones. Vanilla is my favorite, but I also love the hazelnut. They're all delicious. One scoop, and it does not break your fast for one. It changes your coffee from acidic to alkaline, which you don't have to feel guilty about drinking coffee anymore. And the one for alcohol does the same thing. 5 drops into any alcoholic beverage, and it will make it from acidic to alkaline, meaning no hangover. It doesn't change the taste, it doesn't change the color, and best of all, it doesn't change the buzz. You can still drink and enjoy yourself, all the while knowing that you're not causing inflammation in your body. So go to www.getoffyouracid.com and use the promo code Tina
Start
Marks
microdosing.
20.
Okay. And we were talking about nervous regulation and the things that you can do. You can do, breathing and things like that. Um, how do intuitive healing, microdosing, and emotional regulation all work together in your personal journey?
Beautiful question. I mean, I think this is kind of the skill set of the future,
Mm,
right?
hmm.
Is
Yes,
is
I do. I do too.
for a couple reasons. One is we've really lost the ability to emotionally regulate ourselves. You know, it's such a chaotic time. People are so destabilized for good reason. But I think the skill of the future is being able to navigate a lot of chaos and change and instability and unknowns while still retaining our own stability,
Mm-hmm.
our own groundedness, our own centeredness. And so working with the emotions, gaining mastery over our own mastery and regulation is huge right now. And with AI, you know, as I know a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners are listening, I think as the landscape shifts so much with AI coming in, that our human emotions are going to be so coveted,
Yes.
so vital to the future. And it's something that only we can do. Like the machines can do a lot of things, do things for us. But I think our humanity, our characteristics of our emotions, our deeply human qualities are
Mm-hmm.
going to become the most valuable thing,
Yes.
especially professionally.
Yes, I agree. And because a lot of people that are getting scared with the AI and everything else, that the qualities you just mentioned cannot be replaced by an AI. Although I'm going to make you laugh. I saw on Instagram there was a guy that had his video on. He's talking to AI and he's saying, I really think we'd make a great match. And it's talking back to him going, well, I think let's take things slow. I mean, it was crazy. It was really crazy. I mean, what people like, it can be scary, but I love that you said that because, nothing takes the place of authenticity, right? Are there any practices or habits that amplify the benefits of microdosing?
Oh, yes, for sure, for sure. We were just actually teaching that in our program this week of which practices, like how do you know what practice is going to serve you? And it's really fun because the medicine works with each person so uniquely. Some people have a very physical somatic experience. You can feel shifts and changes and healing happen. Other people it's more mental. They have like incredible ideas and
Mm-hmm.
perspective shifts and openings. Other people it's really deeply spiritual and they have really neat, fantastic dreams happening and vivid spiritual life open up to them. So once you start with practice and you see how the medicine is talking to you and communicating to you, you can bring in lifestyle practices to support what is happening. So, for
Okay.
example, if somebody has big emotions coming to the surface and they have a lot of grief they're releasing or anxiety that's been trapped in the body releasing,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be like I would probably bring in qigong. I would probably bring in body work and somatic practices to
To remove the
energy,
energy,
move the energy, help release the energy, and support the process in a really gentle, natural way.
right?
If someone is having an experience where they have a lot of mental happenings, right? They might be journaling, and I might have them do the artist way process, right?
I did that like 30 years ago.
Yes,
That's an
yes.
amazing book. Everybody should do that. By the way, for those of you listening, it's a 3 month at home course. You can't rush ahead. You got to do one chapter at a time, but it really does because you think the artist way. I'm not an artist. It's very transformative. And in fact, at that time, I think that they were actually making that as a prerequisite course for college kids, you know?
That's a great idea. That's a
Yeah,
great
yeah.
idea.
We
They
need
should
more.
bring that back. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay. So these, depending on what it is. So let's talk about some of your programs. All right. So why don't we were talking before we got on here that you just started something, the starter kit. Why don't we start
Yes.
there and then we can go into your
Yes.
credited things and everything else.
Sure, I'd love
Okay.
to. Yeah, we made this by popular demand from people because when I started back in 2020, there was no information to find. And so everybody was kind of coming to blank canvas. They had no idea what to expect or anticipate. So they didn't really have expectations because there were none to have, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now is a different story. There's so much information. People put it in ChatGPT and they're in Reddit and they're so confused and overwhelmed. There's a lot of conflicting advice and guidance. And so we wanted to put together a deeply human starter package that kind of gives you, it's tailored for beginners. It's really accessible in cost. You can just step in and learn from humans like that have been doing this work for a long time. I have supported about a couple thousand people. I've done a lot of individual work as well as group work. And so I put together like what are the basic things that people really need to know to get started.
Okay.
Provide you with vetted sourcing where you can go for trusted medicine makers. We have partners all over the world providing really beautiful medicines. There's a lot of professional resources in there, like if you're tapering off antidepressants, for example, or you're on a sleeping pill, can I microdose? How can that be effective? So we put in there like everything that would come up in someone's first few weeks of practice in one
Hmm.
place.
Okay, that's amazing because I was going to ask you because just like any kind of supplement, in fact, I had somebody on and like he was saying like 80% of the supplements out there are just fillers.
I
They're
believe
not
that.
that, yeah, yeah. So you think you're spending all this money thinking you're doing something great and you actually could be harming your body. So very important with that. I'm going to ask you a question too. Have you ever done a journey?
Yes.
Oh,
Mhm.
you have. Okay.
Yep.
Would you recommend that? Like, does that, I was going to say, speed along the process? I mean, would you recommend like doing that first and then using the microdosing as maintenance? Or, do you feel like you need to be called to? Because I know with ayahuasca, you have to be called to that. I am not called to ayahuasca, but I am very open to doing a psilocybin journey. But again, you have to know where you're going, trusted people. Is that in, do you have that information too? Or is it just, oh,
Oh
you do?
yes. Oh yes, we
Oh, you
do. Yeah,
do?
I know wonderful journey guides around the world. Yeah, we actually have a community of guides internationally. We call it Gather. It's a guided professional group. So we just met earlier today. We gather twice a month and keep in touch with each other. So it's a beautiful referral network, and it makes all the difference in the world when we get to refer to people we actually know and trust pretty well.
Right.
Some of them I've known for 5 or 6 years now, and yeah, refer to them a lot. I don't personally hold journey space, but a lot of my clients that I support with microdosing go on to deepen their experience with journeying. Very, very common.
Would you say start with the microdosing and then do the journey, or do the journey first and then do the microdosing?
I think 99% of people are best served starting with microdosing.
Microdosing. Yeah.
Because it really connects you to the medicine. You can
Mm-hmm.
step into relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You can know how the medicine is going to work with your body. Is it going to be physical, mental, emotional, spiritual? Know how you're going to respond. And I also, this was totally me too. I never thought I would journey. I was terrified of the idea.
Mm-hmm.
On so many levels, and a lot of people I work with are like, I have no interest in journeying, but I can get my head around microdosing because I'm not going to lose control. I'm not going to go anywhere. And what happens is a lot of those people have such incredible healing and such beautiful gifts, and they come to really trust the medicine
Yes.
that they're like, okay, I can now see myself working at a higher dose.
At a
So that
higher
was totally
dose.
me. Hmm.
That
Yeah.
sounds like me. And when I was living at the beach, I was doing it every day. Then this person, it says on the package, one every 2 to 3 days. Do you microdose every day?
The protocols are different for each person and each different type of medicine. So when I'm working with someone with psilocybin, um, yes, we determine their protocol. There's several different protocols that are very common. We call them like 5-2 or 4-3. They're translated as like 5 days on, 2 days off. There's
Oh, okay.
every other day. And then some people who are very, very sensitive. I work with a lot of artists, a lot of creatives who are very sensitive. So sometimes they'll just dose twice a week, and that's
Mm.
plenty for them. Most people start around 100 milligrams of psilocybin, but it can really range. All my sensitive folks, I usually start at 50, and sometimes that's all they need. Higher people who need a higher dose typically are people who've been on an SSRI for quite a long time. It
Mm-hmm.
has a blunting effect, so we're almost always going to start at a higher dose. And also people who are very rigid by nature, people who
Mm-hmm.
are very analytical, people are very, and they know this, like we'll talk, ask questions like,
Mm-hmm.
are you
Not
had or
flexible.
not flexible? Have you eaten the same lunch same lunch for
Mhm.
the last 14 years? They
Yeah,
usually laugh
right,
and go,
right,
that's
right.
me, that's me. So if someone has a very kind of sticky patterned mind, a very ruminating mind, looping mind, we'll start usually at a little bit of higher dose. I've noticed lately a lot of the protocols that are like 5-2 used to be 5 years ago was very common. I use that very sparingly. Now it's really interesting. I think we're again evolving as a species right now, and a
What do
little
you
bit
use
is going a long way.
sparingly?
The 5-2 protocol. So I
5 days
used
on
to,
what? Like 5 days?
5 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I started and when I practiced myself, I did 5-2 like by first and back in 2020 and 2021. Almost everybody was working on the 5 day a week protocol. I
Uh-huh.
find it's not necessary now that people are just moving through their process, really connecting with the medicine quickly now.
Mm-hmm.
And most of my clients at this point are working with every other day or 3 day a week schedules.
Okay. All right. Because that, yeah, that's what I'm doing. But I was taking it, but it didn't have any directions on the other one. I mean, those
Yeah,
were little gummies. These are capsules. I think this is a much better, but I'm going to actually get in touch with you after this. So then you also have programs that can accredit you for this, right?
yes, we created a professional program because I do 6 week group programs. I'm offering one right now. I offer them seasonally, and it's a 6 week microdosing immersion. So I'm in my 33rd one right now since 2020. And I love them to pieces. And what ended up happening was so many people graduate the 6 week program and they're like, I want to do this for other people. And
Hmm.
so it was accidentally like creating a lot of guides, and so, as over time this was happening so frequently, it became time to kind of formalize a structured program to support people in how to become a guide, not only kind of the art and craft of guideship itself, but also like how to structure a business around this practice and kind of establish it as a profession. So, we ran our first cohort last summer, so summer of 2025. And we'll run our fourth cohort this September 2026.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've learned so much today, and I had so many other questions about emotional regulation, but it really all ties into, I mean, the key is to be emotionally regulated, um, deregulate your prefrontal cortex to put it more in a meditative state, because this is what runs everything, and your body and trauma that gets locked up. And this is, I can attest because I do it, it's a very gentle way. And in fact, for me, sometimes I have to feel like something really hard hitting me on the head. It's very gentle, so don't expect like, oh, I'm going to feel so much different the next day. I just feel more relaxed. And for somebody that was wound very tight most of their life, it's funny that you said that about being out in nature. Some people start feeling like being out in nature. I was walking my dog and I really felt the sun on my face. Like when I was a kid, like, and I'd sit there, and you know what I find myself doing too, which I haven't done in, I don't remember how long. Do you remember like when you were a kid, you would just stare? It just felt really good to just stare. And it was just kind of zoning everybody out. And I'm like, yeah, it brings you back to your childlike self, which is where all the creativity lives, which is where all the love lives. And, the empowerment lives and that's what we're really all trying to get back to. So I think this is a perfect assistance for everybody. And like, I love the way that it's called medicine. It's not called a drug because it's not man-made. It is made, it is a medicine. It's not a drug. And so for more information, people can find you where?
Microdosingforhealing.com.
That's easy. Microdosingforhealing.com. And that is your website, and people can email you there and everything else, right?
Yep, and I'm
Okay.
on all the social platforms too. I'm easy to find.
Well, I got to tell you this. I don't tell many people this, but it's the sheer fact that you look like you're glowing. I mean, really, I mean, you are glowing. So you're doing something right, probably a lot of things right. And what I have found is once you kind of get on that momentum, um, dysfunctional things gradually fall away. The more that you heal, the less that you grasp and grasp for bad behaviors. And I've definitely noticed that. I'm much more calm because seriously, I was wound pretty tight. So I'm so glad that you were here, and I know that my audience probably got a lot of value out of this. So keep doing what you're doing. And thank you so much. And thank you all for listening. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so. And you can also my podcast on Spotify, Apple, wherever the podcasts are. So wishing everybody a fantastic week. And thank you, Casey, so much. And have a beautiful week yourself.